This hand of the week was suggested to us by Peter O'Neill and Hugo Leva. If you have a suggestion for hand of the week, tweet it at us.
Hey, Jonathan. You like watching Daniel Negreanu play poker?
I do.
A lot of people do. I like it too. So that's what we're going to do this time. And you know what he does that's so fun?
I don't.
He plays weird.
Yeah.
He's going to play this hand pretty weird.
Lane's currently 100-200.
Daniel may be the shortest at the table, but he's still got 65 bigs.
Under the gun +1. He min raises to 400. Alec Torelli from the US calls with 5s. Dario Sammartino calls as well. He's got pocket 3s. Folded around to Danny Palafas in the small blind. The Romanian calls. And Luca Pagano, Jack 7 off. He's getting good odds. He calls as well.
Yeah, everyone's pretty justified making this call. Pot odds kept getting better and better.
Queen 5 deuce with 2 clubs. A set of 5s for Torelli. Negreanu was the pre-flop aggressor. He has ace high in a backdoor club draw. And he bets 1,150.
Over half pot into 4 opponents. This bet should come free with a drink at the bar because it is a little nuts.
How does Torelli play his set?
I think part of Daniel's rationale is that he does have that backdoor nut flush draw, which means he can probably rep huge on the turn.
Torelli raises 2,500 total. Sammartino gives up the 3s. Palafas is out. Luca folds as well. Daniel calls.
He does call, and I think that James Hardigan should have had a lot more surprise in his voice when he said he calls. It should have been more like, he calls?
He what? Yeah, I don't know where the why it's so normal, as if like he's just reporting on normal news. This is a big, weird play.
Right, so the initial thing that Negreanu does that's weird here is pointed out by Stapleton with the little nuts joke. It's pretty funny. Good job, Joe.
That's a great joke.
Good job, Joe. So betting into 4 callers with ace high here, that's a little batty. So the one thing he has going for him with that is the backdoor nut flush draw and 2 backdoor straight draws.
Whee!
Although that is mostly what Joe mentions. What's more important here is that he can represent something later if it comes in, meaning he knows that none of his opponents have the nut flush draw because he's holding the ace of clubs.
Yeah, that helps somewhat. It means that, number one, first of all, just betting into 4 other players in this spot is super strong. And he figures he's probably going to fold at anyone who doesn't have a queen or a flush draw, I would think. Like, pocket 8s are just going to fold, I think, on this flop almost always, right? I mean, it's just so strong to do this.
Yeah, the problem with that is he has 4 callers, and a lot of hands that are pre-flop calling hands have queens in them.
Yeah, that is a problem. But like you said, because he has this backdoor nut flush thing happening, if a club were to come, say, on the turn or the river, he can rep that because he knows no one else has the nuts.
Right, so that is powerful. Calling the raise, this is ambitious.
Yeah, he's going to have a very particular plan here against Torelli for this to make sense and work out. He can't know that Torelli has a set of 5s, but if you think about it, since Torelli doesn't have the nut flush draw, because he can't, because Negreanu has the ace of clubs in his hand, there's very little that Torelli's raising here that isn't for straight value.
Right.
Negreanu just isn't screwed.
Let's go a bit through Torelli's range here.
Okay.
So, Torelli is, first of all, I'd say bluffing about 0.0001% of the time.
And that's not even taking into the fact that this dude is super tight and makes crazy folds all the time. He's the guy who folded the 9s on the greatest fold of all time. Terrible fold hand, which we may at some point talk about.
Even if they're heads up, Alec Torelli is probably not raising as a bluff here, just based on Negreanu's position. Negreanu raised +1 here. He's got a lot of strength in his range.
Yeah.
And Torelli's not going to raise a marginal hand because that's just game theory disaster. Torelli knows what he's doing.
Right.
So Torelli's range does not include lone queens most of the time.
Right.
Maybe once in a blue moon he raises ace queen here. I don't think he's raising any sort of king, queen, queen, jack, queen, 10 hand unless it is specifically those of clubs, where he has the pair with the flush draw.
Right, and he's looking to get it in.
The rest of his raising range involves the nut flush draw, which are usually wheel draws also, or else he probably wouldn't raise it against this many opponents and against Negreanu's under the gun range. So it'd have to be like ace 3, ace 4 of clubs. Unfortunately for Negreanu, Torelli cannot have those hands because Negreanu blocks that with the ace.
Right, so now we're down to 3-4 of clubs, a combo draw like that. I guess maybe 3-6 of clubs, although I don't know how he has that hand pre-flop.
He doesn't even have 3-4 of clubs. Like you said, Torelli is a tight player. He's probably not calling a +1 raise with 3-4 of clubs with many players left to act behind him.
Agreed. So although there aren't very many of them, it sort of leaves us down to like maybe ace queen once in a while, pocket fives and pocket deuces, right? I mean, I'm not
And
sure what else there
sometimes
is.
he has pocket aces or pocket kings that he decided to play in a tricky way.
Sometimes, but if you watch the video right here, when he calls pre-flop, he doesn't look like the kind of guy who's got aces or kings. He doesn't even think about it. He just sort of throws it in like it's level 3 on an EPT. I have a calling hand, I'm calling.
Yeah, take a look.
Yeah.
And so it looks pretty clear that he just has a hand. He's like, oh, I guess I'm playing this. And it's not really that strong of a hand. So that leaves his range at pretty much all made value hands because Negreanu blocks so many of the hands that would raise that are not made.
Yeah.
Daniel's now put in 25% of his stack with no pair and no draw. He's going to need more runners in the New York Marathon.
Well, Daniel's going to be loving that card. He now has second pair plus the flush draw. Torelli obviously still big favorite with those set of fives.
Daniel's going to think that's the best card in the deck for him, but we know it's the same as any other club, except the queen. That would be bad. And it looks like Daniel's going to donk lead this. Don't let the name fool you. Even the pros do this sometimes. That's when you bet into the last aggressor.
Blue chips.
Torelli's bound to be a little confused by this.
Daniel's bet 30% of his remaining chips. Torelli may well just put them all in. No, he just calls.
He's either trapping or he wants to reevaluate on the river.
As you guys know, we love Joe, but he got that half right there.
Half is pretty good.
Yeah, because Torelli definitely wants to reevaluate on the river, and by reevaluate, he wants the board to pair on the river.
Yeah, that would be
really
great. If he could reevaluate himself into a full house, he'd be super psyched.
Yeah, but he's not trapping. This card hits Negreanu's range so hard. Like, so hard, because all of Negreanu's value hands on the flop, which usually are not the hand he has because he played the flop really weird, as we know, flushes are a huge percentage of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel usually has a flush draw on the flop when he gets raised and he just calls. I would say that's probably the most likely hand he has.
The hands that Daniel have right now that are playing it this way, that are not currently beating Torelli in a standardly played hand, not in this exact hand, but if we're thinking from Torelli's perspective, are like pocket aces with the ace of clubs and ace queen with the ace of clubs.
Yeah, that's about it. And that's one of the things that makes this such an interesting bet by Daniel. And I think the reason why he called the raise on the flop specifically is because he's thinking any club that comes, I'm going to bet.
Right. This was his plan all along. And he can certainly reasonably represent a flush here. Because if Daniel did turn the flush here, he would not want his opponent to have the opportunity to check back. That way, Negreanu misses out on a bunch of value by getting a bigger river bet in.
Right. With either the nut block or the ace of clubs or an actual nut flush, he's going to bet here. Maybe even lots of other flushes, in fact.
Right. So this is actually kind of a terrible spot for Torelli. He cannot fold. It's just an unfoldable spot because he can still improve, of course. He's got full house outs if Negreanu does, in fact, have the nuts. But it's just like, I feel so behind to all of his range at this point.
Yeah, it's bad.
The river card is the ace of diamonds, giving Daniel two pair. And he moves all in. We could be about to lose Daniel Negreanu.
Sick part is he thinks he's value betting.
67. 7,075.
This wasn't a great card for Torelli either.
Got ace, queen of hearts or something?
This will be an awful line for a bluff, so Alec might think he's beat here.
It's like I want to fold.
Really?
You have a what?
I want to fold.
You don't have a fold?
No, I want to fold.
Oh,
I wanted to
did you have
fold
ace, queen of hearts? Is that what you have? 'Cause that's
wanted to
kind of what I put you on.
Fold the damn turn.
There is an argument. If you call the turn, you have to call the river.
Ace, queen of hearts might get half. Go for the high, I'll take the low.
Might get half. That's good. I mean, it's really hard to be bluffing.
That part's true.
You're special, though.
That's what I've been told.
Alec is getting almost 3-1.
He had fives?
Ding!
And he lays it down. He folds the set.
Show like a red 9 and you're my hero.
I'll show you one card, that's good. Let's see.
King of clubs.
Wow! What a card, right? The obvious can't be bluffing card. Show the ace of
I'm
clubs.
so sick you have 3 aces.
Yeah, okay.
Alec was right to assume Daniel was value betting, was wrong to assume it was better than 3 5s, and if he's folding better, I'm not sure how often Alec's calling with worse.
So Torelli makes this fold getting 3-1, meaning he only has to be right 25% of the time. That's right, we got it right this time, folks. Is this a good fold?
That's a great question, and it's almost impossible to answer, I think. I mean, Negreanu, like Torelli said, is special. And I don't mean that he's like an exalted god or something, but he plays differently than most players do. Obviously, this is example A right here, this hand. Like, nobody gets here with ace-jack, right?
Pretty much nobody.
Daniel Negreanu gets here with ace-jack. So Negreanu executed his plan on the turn of trying to represent the nuts if a club came, because he knew his opponent could not have the nuts. The river comes, and I think before betting, if you guys notice, Daniel bet really quick on the river. He just decides he's never folding this hand, and it's not exactly a value bet. It's kind of a, I'm resigned to putting my stack in bet. Like, what else am I going to do? Because I just rivered aces up, and I'm never folding anyway, so I might as well capture some value. I think afterwards, when he starts talking, he starts to realize that all of Torelli's value range is beating him here.
Yeah, he quickly goes into, I better try and talk this guy into a fold mode with the, you have the ace-queen, you have ace-queen here? You have a set of fives? You know, and he's trying to joke around as if he has a flush and he's trying to get like a set to call or something like that. But usually when Negreanu talks like this, he often doesn't have it. And although this is close, this is one notch down from ace-queen, so it's close to having it.
It's a very weird spot because Negreanu's never supposed to show up with ace-jack here,
yeah,
right?
Never.
And he's never even really supposed to show up with ace-queen played this way here, unless it's specifically ace-queen with the ace of clubs.
Yeah.
So that's the one hand that if you're Torelli and you're assuming a rational actor, as you like to say, Jonathan, in Negreanu, that you could put Negreanu on and decide to call. But other than that, it's all value that beats you as Torelli.
I agree. I mean, I don't know what we're supposed to be beating here except some bizarre bluff, some sick, weird, bizarre bluff, right? Like Torelli at the end says, you know, 3 aces, that's so sick. That's a very reasonable hand to put Negreanu on.
Right. We were even saying on the turn, that's one of the value hands that he's representing.
Yeah. And besides that, Negreanu can have ace-queen. He can have a flush. And that's kind of it. Now, it turns out he can also have ace-jack, but that's unlucky. So I think this is an okay fold by Torelli, but the problem is when we're getting such a good price and we can afford to make the call like Torelli is, it makes it a little bit closer, right? If this was a bigger bet, I think this is a pretty straightforward fold. Getting 3-1, it's not super straightforward.
Right. I think the right move by Torelli may have been to just move in on the turn so he doesn't put himself in this position where he may fold the best hand in a weird spot on the river.
Yeah, like if you're going to call the turn, you're supposed to, I think, well, most of the time anyway, call the river because someone who might have been bluffing with the ace of clubs might continue to bluff. But again, if you can't figure out how we can get there with the ace of clubs, what are you supposed to do? I don't know.
It's a really tough spot, and obviously it kind of becomes a legendary hand because of how weird it plays out and that Torelli ends up folding this massive value hand in the spot against this guy, Daniel Negreanu.
This guy. Yeah, Negreanu gets a guy who's like 3 pips better than him to fold. It's pretty awesome.
If you guys want to see another hand featuring Daniel Negreanu, check out Masters of Table Talk by clicking... Where should they click, Jonathan?
Here?
No.
Where?
Probably here.
Okay. Also, check out our website, our Twitter feed, and don't you forget to subscribe.